What's up, bird nerds? We're gonna do something different today. As you can see, I usually don't put my face on camera. Don't know why. Haven't done it much in the past, but I've had a lot of people asking for that to happen. So we're gonna try and make some more videos that have a little bit more interactions with me and with the birds. So I've pulled out Mikey. I've got Lollipop here on my arm. And Pink Lemonade, she'll probably come fly down on my head here in a minute. She's out here flying around the bird shed as well. So I think today we're gonna answer a lot of questions. I have people asking me questions all the time throughout the YouTube channel. And a lot of them are pretty generic questions. You know, how do I breed? How do I know if eggs are fertile? How do I know if birds have mites, et cetera, et cetera. And so I figured I was gonna do a video today where I'm going to answer a lot of the common questions asked about breeding canaries and finches, general overall health, and then I have my laptop here with me, and I'm going to just scroll down through some of the questions that you guys have asked me, and we're going to answer them. So, and hopefully I can answer them for you guys. So Mikey's excited. He's whistling. He's happy to be on camera. He's happy for me to be here. I've been out of the country for the last week and a half. Yesterday was the first day we got back, and so he's so excited to have me back. So make sure you guys have some really good friends or family members or folks that take care of your birds when you go out on vacations and business trips, things like that, so that they can be well taken care of. So yeah, you say pretty bird, pretty bird. Before we jump into it, just real quick, guys, I was looking at just the YouTube analytics on my channel. Well over 50% of those that watch my videos have not subscribed and are not subscribers. So challenge to you guys right now. Mikey's doing it as well. Right now, right this very minute, go down, click that subscribe and the notification bell. I try to post weekly, get more into a rhythm these last couple weeks in hopes that with the breeding season kicking off, you can hear my canaries singing like crazy. With that, we should be able to post a lot more videos on a frequent basis. So those of you who are not subscribed to my channel right now, take your finger, go down, click that subscribe button. Let's see a big jump that we can have this once we post this video. So I would appreciate that, guys. Okay, let's jump into it. First of all, before we get into any of like the breeding comments or overall health, I've had a lot of people ask where some of my birds are. They've noticed in these last few videos that I posted that I don't have any parakeets, any zebra finches, and button quails, which have been a pretty big staple of many of my previous videos on how to breed them, and I've showed them quite a bit. So I do not currently have any of those three species in my aviary or in my bird shed currently. I still have some. I have them loaned out to some other breeders that are close by. They've helped me out when I moved and brought the birds over here. They were grateful enough to take some of those birds for me. They're going to breed them for me this year, and we'll slowly be bringing them back, especially once we get the aviary built and that sort of thing. So I am looking for, especially for the zebra finches and the parakeets, I mean, they're such an easy species to breed. I am really trying to look for some of the rare breeds of zebra finches and parakeets to bring back and put here with my other birds. Also, the zebra finches and parakeets, they're busy birds, and they can tend to be a little bit of a bully with some of the other birds. And you can see here I have mixed aviary with a lot of different species, but all of these species for the most part are relatively calm and can get along well. My parakeets, they pick at the finches' legs So when I bring them back, I have to make sure that I have a separate cage for them so that I'm not housing them with my finches. Typically cockatiels, you can see Mikey here on my back. Cockatiels generally are not a good species to house with, especially smaller finches. They tend to can be a little grumpy and pick at their toes and their legs, and if they get a hold of them, they can do some damage. Mikey, he's just an old grandpa, and he does really well with my finches. He doesn't harm them, he has gotten along with them very well over the last, 4 years that I've had him here in the aviary mixed with them. So we got Lollipop. She sees my laptop and really wants to go at it. So currently do not have them here in the aviary. I will still be doing some videos down the road on them. Please, if you still have questions about the zebra finches, parakeets, keep asking them. And then as well with the button quails, I do not have those here at the aviary currently during the winter time. So I have to bring the birds inside for our winters here in Utah because it's just too cold. Most of the birds cannot survive. And the button quails, they're kind of a stinky bird. They're similar to chickens. Their poop stinks. So when I bring them indoors, it really stinks up the inside of my bird shed, and I don't like it. And so I'm trying to figure out a better way of how I can house my button quail year round, and be able to keep up with the smell and that sort of thing. So I love the button quail and enjoy having them. They're such a cool species to have, and I love watching them on the ground. So I will be bringing them back. I just need to figure out how I can set up my birds successfully to be able to reintroduce them. And I'm hoping once I get my aviary built outside, we can do that and be able to throw them back out there and have kind of more of a natural environment for them to breed. I have been able to breed them successfully without using an incubator. So really excited about that. So guys, if you have any other questions about those 3 species, drop them down below in the comments on this video. I'll try and answer to them, get back to you as best I can. Okay. Let's jump into it, guys. Let's start answering some questions. So the top 2 questions that I get the most deal with breeding canaries and breeding Goldien finches. I do post a lot on those 2 species because those are kind of the two main species that I have bred in the past. And hey, Lollipop, you're getting your tail in the way. You can't hang out there. Come here. There you go. So the first one is breeding canaries, and there's a couple different questions that are asked. How do I know when my canaries are ready to breed? And I touched on that in, I think, 2 videos ago. And guys, go back and look at my previous videos. I have mentioned this time and time again on those videos on some of the signs to tell if your canaries are ready to breed or not. The 2 biggest signs that you can tell is your males, they start singing like crazy. You almost can't hear yourself think. They're singing so loud. That's when you know your canaries, your males are ready to breed. And if they're in the presence of a female, it's almost like they try and attack them. They're right next to their side, singing their hearts out like crazy, stretching their necks out as tall as they can go while they're singing. I mean, those are all signs that your males are ready to breed and want to start. So for your females, the best way is if they're starting to carry feathers or material around in their beaks and looking for a nest site to build, that's a really good sign that your females are ready to breed. There's other ways to tell. We've had breeders, and I've done it in the past and can still do it. And I'm pretty sure I have shown this in some of my videos before. The females, you can catch them, you flip them upside down, and on their belly, their underside, you get those feathers wet, or you can just blow them away. And kind of down by their rump and their abdomen, if they're ready to breed, if they're in breeding condition, it's distended a little bit. So it kind of looks like they're pregnant in a way. And that's a good sign that they're ready to breed. If it's concave and you can see the lining of their rib cage, then they're not in breeding condition. So that's one way to tell. Those are the best ways to tell if your canaries are ready to breed. Goldien finches, how to tell if they're ready to breed. Similar, your males will sing like crazy, and the males do sing year round, whether they're in breeding condition or not. Even when they're molting, they'll sing. But when they're in breeding condition, they start paying attention to the females a lot more. I have mine separated, so I have my females over here, I've got my males over here. Some of my males usually like to hang up in that up top of that tree. And they'll usually try and fly to the middle divider cage that I have, and they'll sing to each other, or the males will sing to the females. One way to tell if your male is in breeding condition is their beaks. Their beaks will turn a pearly white, kind of like the white you can see on the wall, on the backs of my cages there. They'll turn a pearly bright white. And that's usually a good sign that they're ready to breed. That is a major sign that they're ready to breed. And then the females, it's the opposite. Their beaks turn black. And that's for all of the greenback and blueback Goldians. The yellowback Goldians are a little bit harder to tell. Their beaks don't necessarily turn black. They still stay white. So it's a little bit more difficult to tell for those females. But also another way to tell if your females are ready is they'll respond to your males when they're singing. They'll go up to them and they'll bend their tail in the direction of the male. And many times they'll respond to the male's dance by shaking their head as well and kind of crouching down into the breeding position. So those are all signs to look for, to tell, to see if your golden finches are ready to breed. And I'm just looking here on my computer. One of the top questions that I just received, and thanks for dropping questions down there. If I don't get back to them, I apologize. I have so many comments that come through. It's almost a full-time job just to keep on top of that, and I just don't have time, but I try to skim through and answer the ones that I can get to. But this one here is, how can you tell if a bird has mites? In the finch world and canary world, there's different signs that you can tell. Mainly if your birds have a large infestation of mites, it's hard for them to breed. And with that, their beaks will be open. It's almost like they're panting and they're breathing with their beak open. So that's a sign. Usually they have mites. If they wipe their beaks a lot on the branches, that can be a sign that they have mites. And don't get that confused, because they have to clean their beaks. So after they eat, especially when they eat egg food and things like that, they have to clean their beaks off when they're wiping. So that doesn't mean they have mites. They're just cleaning their beaks. It's when they're doing it frequently and they're not eating and they're continuously wiping their nose, or they're scratching their nostrils. That could be a sign that they have mites. In golden finches, a sign that they could have mites is they start balding. So around their beaks, their eyes, their necks will start balding because they're scratching. So that's a sign. But that could also be a sign that they skipped a molt, or they haven't molted quite yet, and those feathers are falling out and they're not being replenished quick enough. So that could be a little bit harder to tell. Canaries and golden finches, those are your two species that get mites the easiest. And they show that they have mites. Shaft-tails, zebra finches, society finches, they don't show signs, and they don't tend to get mites as often as canaries or golden finches. So that's something to be aware of as well. Treatment for mites, the two treatments that I have used the past several years and have really enjoyed is the S76. So that goes into the water. So you put it in their drinking water and they drink it. Oh, someone scared the birds. And then there's also scat. That's what I use, and that's you take it and you put a drop on their leg or on their neck, and that also treats them for mites as well. And so I actually use both methods, and I do it on a quarterly basis just to maintain any mites that are present. I think mites they're impossible to get rid of, but they're very easily maintained with a clean environment. and quarterly treatments on your birds to maintain their health and keep them on top of that. So something to look for there. Trying to think. I've had people ask me, just reading a comment here, how do you tell if the eggs don't hatch within 14 days? How do you tell if they're fertile or not? Guys, jump back in some of my previous videos that I've posted. I've talked about eggs being fertilized, how to check, how to candle them, how to see. I've had birds that have hatched late. It was day 15, and I'm scratching my head thinking they're not gonna hatch, and I've almost thrown the eggs away, and I'm like, no, I'll wait. And I've had birds hatch at 17 days. And these are finches that I'm talking about, and canaries. So don't throw them away. Usually if you're questioning if they're fertile or not, I usually wait 3 weeks. And if they haven't hatched by that 21st day, the odds are they're not gonna hatch. So, or they're not fertile. So there's different reasons to why they may not hatch. Usually if your eggs are not fertile, by the time those 14 days are there, the eggs have kind of a yellowish tint to them. Which means that there was no development inside and it's just yolk. You can throw them away. If they are fertile, your eggs, as time goes on, by the time they've reached that 13th, 14th day, the eggs will turn kind of a dark, like a dark white. You can't see through them. Usually that's a sign that there's a chick inside. It's fully developed. It's getting ready to hatch. So it's something to look for. You can candle them. You go into a dark room. Just get a little flashlight. Put the egg on top of the flashlight. And if you can see through it and it's clear, it's not fertile. But if they're, if you see veins, usually when the chicks are fully developed by day 13, 14, 15, it's harder. You can't really see through the egg. It's a good sign they're fertile. But if you are going to candle them, wait until probably that 5th day after the eggs have been laid and the hen is sitting on them. Then usually by the 5th day you've got pretty decent vein development, and you can see if the egg's fertile or not. So guys, if you have other questions, drop them down below. I'll pull them out, and maybe I'll try and do, like on an every other week basis or something like this, a video like this, and I'll pull out all your comments aside and do it. One of the other comments I get all the time is, what do I put in my egg food? And really, it's not, the only consistent thing that I put in there is green veggies, a hard-boiled egg with the shell, and carrots. But the veggies, I rotate. I mean, it's spinach, kale, cilantro, lettuce. It's really any green veggie is good for them, and they'll eat it. I do throw in peppers every once in a while. I'll cut them up a little bit small for my finches. I do throw apples in every once in a while, and a banana. The hookbills like the fruits more. The finches, not a whole lot. They like the veggies more. And then I blend all that together. And then I also add, once I blended all that together, I have a dry egg food mix that I just purchased online. I'll dump that in and mix that all together, because that dry egg food mix has some added vitamins and other supplements in there that are good for the birds. During breeding season, I will feed it every day, and sometimes even twice a day if I have chicks. During the off season, it's once or twice a week. And then as I'm building them up to breed, I will slowly increase the egg food that I give them. So that's something that I've done here. I've asked a lot of people have asked if I sell my birds. I do sell them locally. I have breeders around here that I've been in touch with for quite a while that I've sold to. I don't ship my birds. I never have. It may be something that I'll look to in the future. I don't have a big enough operation to go through the hassle of shipping, and I don't really plan on growing my operation. This is just a hobby, not something that I'm looking to to make millions of dollars on, you know. So this is just an enjoyment. So I don't ship my birds. I get asked that quite a bit. We've got a lot of people saying that they've just got new birds. They're excited for the videos. Big thanks. Thanks you guys for watching. Really, I appreciate you guys watching. And hopefully all of you guys that haven't subscribed have already clicked that subscription button on this video, because that was the goal this at the beginning of it. So a lot of good lucks in the breeding season. I've had people ask questions. Here's a question right here of, do I rotate my male canaries with my females? I have done that in the past. This year I won't do that because I have enough males to females. So I have one male to female ratio this year. So I'll just keep them in pairs the whole time and let them both raise the birds. But in the past I have rotated males and have been successful at that. So that's something that you can do. Like I said, jump back into my previous videos. All of this has been covered at some point or another in my older videos. How do I tell the gender of society finches? I get asked this quite a bit. Society finches, you can't visually tell the gender. So really, your males, they'll sing. So you have to sit down and watch the birds, watch their behaviors. Society finches, they sing year round. Unless they're sick, they may not sing, but your males are usually always singing once they're comfortable in their new environment. So if you've just barely purchased them, give them a few days, and if you have a male, they'll slowly start singing. And then what I do is I band mine with different color leg bands, so I know, and I make records so I know which ones are males and females. And then for the females, they don't sing, but they lay eggs. So if you have them for a long time and you watch your birds for a long time and you've never seen them sing, chances are you have a female. I have a lot of people asking if there's breeders in their area. They're looking to get into the hobby. Utah is a little sparse. There's not a lot of big bird breeders here, and I think that's just because we have cold winters. A lot of these birds are fragile when it comes to temperatures, so there's not a lot. The best resources, I've just gone online. There's a finch forum that you guys can join. Facebook has, I mean, you just type in finch in Facebook and there's so many different groups that you can join. And then in those groups, just ask if there's any breeders within your local area or your state. So that's a good way to do it. Even on Google, you can just go on Google and say, Goldian breeders near North Carolina. And it'll pull up anybody that's posted on there. Just be careful. There's going to be scams everywhere. So just be careful. If they're selling a Goldian finch for $20, odds are it's not real, and it's probably a scam. So just be aware of that. But let's see. We'll do one more questions and then we'll answer it. I've got several people talking about the green singers that I have, the gray singers, the star finches, and just giving breeding tips. A lot of them have said, some of them have bred them without. They've bred them without live food, which is hopeful for me because I don't feed live food to my birds. I do feed lots of other supplements that would replace live food. But that's not something that I've ever gotten into. I'm not opposed to it. I've just tried to pick species that I could breed without having to do live food, or I have society finches to help foster if it came to that. But many of them have talked about, different types of nest boxes, where to put them in the aviaries. The higher the better for the majority of your birds. So if you have something large like this, put your nest boxes in the top corners. If you have smaller cages, put it at the very top of the cage. So the higher you can go, the better it is for the birds. The safer they feel, the more likely they are to breed for you. So that's also something to take note of. So appreciate you guys. I enjoy doing this. It's a great hobby. I do it for the hobby. I don't do it for the money. I hope you guys are able to get some good information from this. Like I said, drop some comments below of questions that you want me to answer in the upcoming videos. I've also thought about doing some live feeds and having you guys just jump on and ask me the questions there, and we can answer the questions there and interact. I've had a lot of people ask if I would do that. So that may be something to do. Hard part is I do have a full-time job. You guys have seen my kids. You know, like I said, these guys are a hobby. So sometimes it's hard to find some of that consistency and the time to do things like this. I'm trying to get better, keep that consistency for you guys, so that we can continue to help you with your birds as well, and help you guys have success, whether it's breeding your birds or just caring for your birds and receiving that enjoyment from them. So appreciate you guys. Again, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to see, after I post this video, just a huge jump in it, because that motivates me and wants me to share more with you guys. So share the videos, subscribe it, hit those notification bells. Let's grow this channel together in hopes that we can have some more success and help you guys in your breeding season, and just really help the birds overall in captivity. Some of these species are rare and are endangered in the wild, and we're doing a good job here of helping to maintain them. And if it were ever to be needed, you know, we could have some in captivity that we could reintroduce into the wild if needed down in the future. So we don't want these guys to disappear. We want to be able to enjoy them for our generations to come. So that's my spiel. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.